Hey, Fraudcasters. I'm here to talk about Factor Meals again. Yes, I love my Factor Meals. That's factormeals.com/Fraudcast50. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you are ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cooking fatigue, all of that nonsense. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan and veggie, and so much more. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Not only does Factor offer fast, simple solutions for when I'm too busy to cook and frankly just don't want to cook, they also help me stay on top of my goals. With their offerings like Protein Plus and Keto, I can stay on track. This is definitely going to come in handy for my New Year goals, and they can help you too. Factor has everything I need for a week of flavorful, completely nutritious eats. In addition to the ready-to-eat meals, they have cold-pressed juices, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein, which is what I love, veggie sides, and way more to keep me energized during this kind of a frantic time. Head to factormeals.com/Fraudcast50 and use code Fraudcast50 to get 50% off. That's code Fraudcast50 at factormeals.com/Fraudcast50 to get 50% off. Hey, Fraudcasters. I used to find bras to be so uncomfortable and constricting. They were the first thing to take off when I got home. But Skims has changed all that. You guys know I love my Skims Fits Everybody t-shirt bras. I own them in just about every shade now. I wear them every single day when I leave the house. And they are completely worth the hype for the amazing shape and support they give. But what I was not expecting from them was how comfortable they are. Even the underwire bras that I wear all day, I barely even notice. Definitely not the first thing I take off when I come home anymore. Y'all, I'm a 36 double D, and I've had a reduction, and I've gone up and down and lost weight and gained weight and all the things. And the Fits Everybody t-shirt bra, I swear, fits me the best. I finally found a t-shirt bra that I can wear, but not only that, it is the best bra that I own. It holds the girls in so well, and let me just say, Hetero Life Mate really appreciates these bras too. Shop Skims bras at skims.com, now available in 62 sizes, from a 30A to a 46H. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75. And if you haven't yet, please be sure to let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show, The Fraudcast, in the drop-down menu that follows. The Fraudcast is a diverse podcast dedicated to diverse views. As such, we attract a large variety of listeners and guests. The views and opinions expressed by the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the podcast or its hosts. Any content provided is of their own opinion and not intended to malign any person, group, or organization. Appearance on the Fraudcast does not represent endorsement or acceptance of their views, either explicitly or implicitly. Listen responsibly.
Oh my God.
Ah!
Hold on. Becca's asking if you're on.
Hold on. Say hi really quick.
Hi, Mr. Waffle.
She says hi.
Hi.
She can hear you okay?
Yeah, he can hear me all right.
You sound fantastic, my lady.
It's all this music equipment pays off every now and again.
Every now and again. So does sleeping with a music producer. Or
oh my gosh.
Audio producer.
I'm so glad he can't hear you right now. He doesn't need anyone to think that what he does is.
No, I'm talking about my own husband.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh, because he does like didn't he work for Sirius when you guys met?
Yeah. He works in broadcasting. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
So Becca should be jumping on here.
Close the door for me.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Bye, Bubs. That's what I call my dog, not my husband. I don't call my husband Bubs.
Well, we call each other Boo, but not for like, oh, you're my Boo. It's short for Boo Boo Kitty Fuck.
Oh, nice.
You know.
I love that for you. How did you meet Becca? How did you meet them?
So Lexi, I met through Danielle from 90 Day.
Oh my gosh, too funny.
Yeah, for real. Because like Danielle and I were becoming like friendly, and she had said she was going to be out in this area because she had friends in Maryland, and invited me to a like a watch party. It ended up being COVID, so it ended up not happening. But like
Right.
later, like I ended up going to dinner and Lexi was there, and that's when I met her. And then so it ended up becoming like, and now she's like my acupuncturist, and like it's a whole thing. And then Becca, how I met Becca was during COVID, I was watching this TV show called Lost Resort. Did I get it right this time?
You did. Usually
okay.
people think it's Last Resort, but they like
Right,
were
but I
being
always
cute,
called it like
right?
Lost Island or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's Lost Resort, which is a reality show about a bunch of people with all these like fucked up life problems, apparently. And the theory, that was the plan or whatever. And they go to Costa Rica and they go to this like resort and do things. But it turned out to be really cool people, not like the crazy reality people. And Becca was one of them. Pastor Becca was there, and she can tell you her story about why she was there.
Oh, yeah. So my son died at birth. And
sorry.
nah, thank you. And so and then I got really sick after that. And it turns out that like there's a 50-50 shot that my chronic illness will get transferred to the next child, biological child. And as it's passed on, it gets more severe. And so my doctor was basically like, I'm not going to tell you not to have kids, but like you probably shouldn't have biological children. And so like I had worked through the grief of the initial loss, but not necessarily the like.
No, it's like future loss as well. Right.
And so that was one of the reasons. And then the other reason was like, since that loss, like I was kind of in a dark night of the soul spiritually and wasn't having like connection to God anymore, which of course, like as a pastor, that was like reality TV gold. So
a pastor who lost her connection to God. Yeah.
Right. So
I fell in love with her watching the show. I found her, stalked her on Instagram, and fell in love with, like, started stalking her life, and like literally slid into her DMs. It was like, I love you. You're amazing. And now we're friends.
Oh, cute. What a
true,
meet
that
cute. What a meet cute.
It is a meet cute.
Yeah.
I didn't really think of it that way, but it's true.
So my friend Sarah, who I know from real life,
sort of also the internet,
but it was like the internet. Okay, so we know from each other from the internet. We just happen to have met in real life since we had met. I mean, on the internet. So we met back in the days of, it was like the early aughts.
I got married then in 2000. So it must have been like 99, like in the 1900s.
It was in the 1900s, the days of like message boards, V-bulletin message boards, like bulletin boards. We each found our way there because we were planning our individual respective weddings, to which we're both now divorced from.
Yeah, it was my starter. I was leasing. Turns out I was leasing.
It's like the pancake. You got to throw away the first one, right? It's okay.
Oh,
well, it's okay to throw away the first one. Let's just say that. Yeah, so we back in those days, like when you like all of the wedding planning, and you could go into all the different forums and fight with this person about all cash bar versus or
the dollar dance, or like all these like archaic
strapless dresses.
Like, yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, should we have a money dance? Are you going to even toss the bouquet? Oh my God, the garter belt was so last year. Are you wearing a Maggie Satoro dress?
Oh, Maggie Satoro.
Oh my gosh.
That will forever be Heidi.
Where did that come from in my head?
Heidi, remember how obsessed she was with her Maggie Satoro dress?
Yes. This is the days of those message boards. What was the name of this board? I forgot.
It was called Ultimate Weddings. And then a bunch of us got married. And so then they started like Ultimate Babies, because then people started having babies. And then they started like Ultimate Home for like people that weren't having babies yet. So I think
it was like the early days of how 90 Day Fiance like goes on with like What Now?
Oh, and we had like catfish on the
It
board
was that
were
version.
like,
Oh my God.
and like
the Munchausen by
pre-catfish
proxy
days.
woman. The Munchausen by proxy woman who has
Yes.
since gone on to have her foot amputated. Like we had this early days, like we're talking like 1999 to
Mhm.
because I got married
We
in
had-
2003.
Remember what was her name? Oh my gosh, it kills me because I disliked her so much and I was so happy she was a catfish. The woman
Russian
who
Barbie
was,
doll.
yep. She was
Erin.
like, my husband's best friend died in 9/11. And she like, and my husband left me at Best Buy when I was pregnant. And she had like all these dramatic things would happen to her.
Mhm.
Turns out she's just a woman named Amy in Ohio. And like
That's not married or
that's
anything.
very, like,
And do you
but
know how
years.
many?
She like
know
she was
how
the
many-
most popular person on the board for years.
I distinctly remember a post of what her wedding reception song list was.
the lengths she went to.
And she was Jewish. She was talking about all like the Hora and all the other things that like all of it, like, and they were her husband wanted to name their son ESPN.
That's right.
Remember that? Yeah. So, and do you know how many women that from those days that are actually probably listening to this episode right now? Because I found out later that there's a lot of you guys that listen. And I think that it's hilarious because so we met back then, right? Like, I don't think we were in the same wedding group. I don't know how we ended up in the same.
We had kids at the same time.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Yeah. Like, okay. So we ended up in the baby groups because we had our things separated by when your
Like,
baby's
every
gonna
2
be.
months. It was like yeah.
So it was like so we had all of these different groups. And so you got to really like know all the women in your respective birth groups, right? So, and at some point then that spun off and then it like
We went to
life-
Vegas. A bunch of us went to Vegas together. A
Life
bunch
in
of
the
us went to
message
weddings
board.
together.
Yeah.
So we went to weddings and
Yeah. I think, in fact, maybe the last time. No, I was gonna say the last time I
When
saw
we
you
came
was
to
Emily's
DC.
wedding, but no, it was when you and Chris came to DC.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's how we know each other, and so that's it. That's the whole story. That's how I know everybody on the screen. Although Lexi missed the first half. Welcome, Lexi.
Hello. I have my daughter here. She
Okay.
refuses to sleep and she's hungry. So this should be an interesting episode.
Hey, you know what? We're all working parents here, so you know what?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are doing Seeking Sister Wives tonight, but we have a very special guest on today, and that is my very, very dear friend in real life friend, but internet friend turned real life friend. The amazing, hilarious comedian Sarah Spoon.
Hi.
And
Was that a sexy voice that I just
wow, I was gonna say, like,
Hi.
I forgot what I was gonna say because I just got like ASMR'd right there. I was like, So Sarah's gonna join because Sarah is a longtime trash reality TV fan. And she and her husband are stupid, hilarious musicians, like nerd rock, funny, hilarious rap stuff. You do these funny things, and so you started doing them on reality TV, and I've posted several of them. We have a couple of Sister Wives ones, but I'm holding off just because of the timing, but those will be up at some point. Because we can't not make fun of Cody forever. Just give him some time now. In any case, Sarah has gone through well, I'll let you tell your story, I guess, how much you want to say about your introduction, but you are an amazingly hilarious comedian, and I have watched your piece, your 15-minute piece, like, set so many times because I think it's that hilarious. I know Becca watched it. I'm not sure if Lexi got a chance to watch it or not, but
I did not, but I'm looking forward to it.
well, now we have the live version. So Sarah, I'll let you introduce yourself and all of the fun things.
Oh my goodness. That was a great introduction. Can you just come with me wherever I go and introduce me to people?
That's part of my services as consigliere. It's like on WWE, like Paul Heyman. I'm like Paul Heyman. I'm like the advisor, the wise man.
I love this. Yeah, my name is Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. And I am a mom of 4. and I work in DEIB nonprofit. And
Do you want to explain what that is for
yeah,
those of our audience who aren't
yeah.
as
So-
clued in?
I mean, I work in a nonprofit that advocates for LGBTQ people and employees specifically of workplaces. So yeah, so that's what I do for a living. And then
DEI being diversity, equity, inclusion.
sorry, yes, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging.
Yeah.
You know, you do something for so long, you forget it's an acronym.
It's us super lefties. I mean, Lexi, the libertarian excluded, but
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
No, but she's actually very socially very progressive. She's as socially progressive as the rest of us left wokies. So
Yes. And then I spent last year, I was a city councilor in a rural town for 6 years and resigned and moved somewhere and found a lump in my breast 3 days later. So I am now a breast cancer survivor too. I spent all of 2023 battling breast cancer, and I did a great job at cancer because I'm still here. So yeah, so that's been what a weird journey.
You won cancer.
I know.
Is that-
you know
is
me.
that
I didn't wake up today to lose. So like, come at me. Cancer picked the wrong person.
I'll never forget you had a blog way back in the day once where you were going to try one new thing every day, and one day was you weren't going to use your thumbs.
That's the last day I did it because it
Well,
turns out
duh.
those thumbs super useful.
Not surprised.
I dropped something in the shower, and it was the longest shower I've ever taken because I could not pick it back up. And then I was like, I think this is while an honorable approach to life to try one new thing every day, it might not be my thing.
Although it does sound like a great recipe for surviving in prison.
Yeah, I think it was intended more. The concept was like more try a new recipe, go on a hike, new place. And I was like, I'm not going to use my thumbs. Like, I think I failed to read the instructions on that one.
Oh, anyway, so as we're going to get into Seeking Sister Wives here, I want to talk briefly before that about you mentioned you were a city counselor, and one of the things that I think is amazing about your story is you now have always been this super like progressive, lefty, disruptive, I don't care about making noise person. And you, like you said, it's a very rural town or whatever. And there was like a parade or something where they had like neo-Nazis, or they had something going on, or a Confederate flag. Maybe it was it. It's like a Confederate flag in a parade. And you were like, you went to the council and you're like, how is this okay? And they were like, yeah, it's all great. And you were like, this isn't acceptable. And you did the thing that we always tell the kids to do, right? Which is, you don't like it, run for the office. And that's what you did. And you won. And then you were reelected. And given this town, that's a hard place to be, given your ideology. Talk to me a little bit about that jump.
To jump to being on city council. And
Like your motivation, and like how much of that story I got right or wrong.
Sure. You did pretty good considering it's been a minute since it happened. So it's actually my hometown. I was raised on a farm in this small community. It's like an exurb. So it's not really a suburb, but it's not super rural, right? I'm like, can drive to Portland for a doctor's appointment if I needed to. And I think when I was in high school, what happened was there was a movement to make it legal to be able to fire or deny housing based on sexuality. And that failed statewide, but it ended up passing in my city. And the 2 city councilors that voted against it were immediately recalled from office. And so that was my memory of this town as someone that identifies in the queer community. Came back, long story short, came back with my kids. My parents still lived there. My kids were young. And didn't know what I didn't know, because the year was 2016 and everything changed that year in local politics and the way social media treated even local politicians. So I ran for office because I thought that the current council at the time was kind of complacent against the real issues that face the community, right? And so I ran, my intention was to take up space. I always said I will not, the minute I feel like I'm a seat warmer, I'm out. Like I'm not going to just, if I'm here, I'm going to take up space. And it was really both the most humbling and amazing thing I've ever done, and also the most challenging, because people can be really horrible. And I always accepted that for myself because I chose to run for office. I drew the line at my children and my spouse and my loved ones. But man, I still love it. I still like the new town that I live in. The city council sends out a newsletter every month. And it's like, you would think I was a kid that got the Sears catalog the week before Thanksgiving. I'm just like so excited. I'm like, oh, they're building a $1.4 million walkway along Frog Pond. Like, I'm just like, I'm so excited about the nerdy municipal things. I'm like, ooh, a new comprehensive plan. Exciting. So I'm still a nerd about it. But I think most importantly, my takeaway is taking up space is okay and it's necessary, and not a lot of people do that. And also, I think everyone should run for office once in your life, because you learn a whole lot about yourself and the people around you. That's probably not the question you asked, but I'm still processing it, because it was, my family really was a target. And we advocated for things like a proclamation for Transgender Day of Visibility. And it just it got really ugly and really gross, and a microcosm of what's happening nationwide, really.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to go into next a little bit. Have you talk about how that sort of you were always a lightning rod in that council. I mean, that was your sort of your purpose. You were going in there to disrupt, and as you said, to take up space and to fight against these things that you felt were wrong, and to fight for marginalized people and groups and things like that. What finally brought it to a head of all of because you did it again, you went for it again, you were reelected. If it was all of this was going on, and you obviously felt very strongly about what you were doing, but what brought it all to a head to the extent that you feel comfortable saying this out, talking about it?
Like leaving, the reason I walked away.
Yeah.
Like what got there? It was a couple of things. So after,
other than trying to be recalled for being a rapper.
Yeah. So after when I won re-election in 2020, they tried to recall me. The recall petition failed, so there was never even a vote. But I think people saw this as an opportunity. They had been trying to get rid of me for a long time, but I was actually very well liked. And I called these people the STAs. And I'm going to swear. I hope that's okay with everyone.
It's yes.
Okay. So I called this group of people.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've never heard these words before.
Oh my gosh, I was nervous about you, Pastor Becca, but Pastor Becca. So I call these people the STAs, and it stood for the same 10 assholes. And no matter what I did, what I wore, what type of haircut I had, what kind of car I decided to get, no matter what, the STAs would post about it on social media. They would come to this meetings, complain about me, they would follow me around town. And I think they thought oh, this is our chance. We've got her. We're going to recall her. She won the election, but we're going to get her anyway. And when that wasn't working for them, their tactics ramped up. And one of the things that happened is the director and founder of the Oregon Firearms Federation followed my child around and filmed them. And my child was 12 at the time, and posted it on social media and blah, blah, blah.
Disgusting.
And you would think that's horrifying. You would think that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And it is maybe part of it, because what actually did it is I would not give them the satisfaction of me leaving, period. I was like, I won. You are now, everyone knows that you're a disgusting human being for following a 12-year-old, but I'm not going to let you bully me out of office.
Mm-hmm.
But what it did was it made me absolutely hate the town. I don't even like driving through it. I drive through it now and I'm like, this town is ugly. The people are ugly. The buildings are ugly. The food choices are ugly. The parks are ugly. Everything about it is ugly to me. And I thought it was a disservice to public service to serve a town you did not love or respect anymore. And so that's why I left.
It's pretty introspective. Damn.
I didn't think it was fair to the voters or the people that deserve a city council that wants to do good things for them. At the point you are just I hate this place, you shouldn't be serving.
Yeah.
Right. So I walked away, and then I decided, as long as I'm leaving public office, I don't have a residency requirement anymore. So let's move. And I can tell you this, This is such a weird thing to say, but it's true. I experienced more joy last year fighting breast cancer than I did the previous 6 years fighting that town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, shit, expand on that because I mean, okay, so let's go into your breast cancer fight then. You know, it's
Yeah.
going to give us a little levity in between these two things, but you know, since we're there,
Isn't everyone having fun talking about cancer and stuff? Like, isn't this the best? You
don't
know,
worry, we're going to get to the funny, I promise.
Yeah, I found a lump in my breast. I was 44 when I was diagnosed. I'd never had a mammogram before. Get your mammograms. Breast cancer is being diagnosed younger and younger. 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer, and only about 5, 10, 15, no more than 15% have a family history. I had no family history. So it came as a complete surprise to me, and had a double mastectomy, and I did 4 months of dose-dense chemotherapy, and still had a good time, still lived my life. It was hard, but I did it. And then I did 28 rounds of radiation. And what cancer teaches you a lot of things if you let it, right? If you let it, it takes a lot of things away from you, but it teaches you a lot of things. And I got to see the world with a scarcity mindset. And by that, I don't mean like living scarcity, but like time scarcity, right? Like when you think, because this will be true for the rest of my life. Tomorrow, I could find out I have stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, because breast cancer is the type I have is not really curable. You just hope to keep it away. There are probably cancer cells floating around my body right now, and I just hope they don't attach to an organ or a system in my body. And when you think this could be your last spin around the rock, man, you look at the world different, and you look at people different, and you value relationships differently. And I stopped making time for people that didn't serve me or accept me. And I started investing in people who live in a way of love. And that will rapidly change. It's not just the way you see the world. It's not just how you spend your time. It's the people, man. And I am forever a changed person for the better because of the journey cancer took me on. Anyway, I'm also a stand-up comic. I'm very funny.
Well, I was going to say all of that doom and gloom and time on the Canby City Council set you up well for what you are currently doing, which is doing stand-up comedy. And girl, you kill it.
Thank you. Yeah, I watched a Tig Notaro set when I was sitting in my chair after chemotherapy one day, and it's the set where she talks about having cancer. She takes her shirt off because she had a double mastectomy, and no nipples. Like me, I'm nipple free for the rest of my life. And I thought, oh my gosh, what an incredible way to process this trauma that is unimaginable. Like, cancer trauma is really unimaginable. We're not built to process trauma of that scale. And so I started writing down all the weird and funny things that happen to you when you have cancer. Like, there's this bit that didn't make it into my set because it's too long, but basically we go to the plastic surgeon for the first time to talk about reconstruction.
Well, it's not too long here.
No, sorry, I am just going to keep talking.
We have all the time in the world. It's my podcast. I can do what I want.
We go to the plastic surgeon to decide if I'm going to do reconstruction or not, because you have to make that decision before you have your double mastectomy, because they do it different depending on what outcome or whether or not you're going to do reconstruction.
Okay.
And he's a plastic surgeon, and he does normal augmentation, and he also does reconstruction. And I imagine he's very different depending on the type of patient he has. It's not like I've been saving up for this for 3 years, always thinking one day I'm going to have my boobs done, which I totally advocate for people doing. That wasn't it. I was there against my will, right? And so he probably has a different bedside manner. He's being very compassionate with me, but really, I was like barely a B cup, and I always wanted big boobs. It's something I always wanted for myself. But probably not enough to have surgery. I was just like, oh, that would have been nice. And so I'm going to ask him, like, when this is all said and done, like, can I go bigger? Because most people have reductions at this point in time or whatever, right? And he's like, just being so gentle and nice with me. And I'm so sorry you have cancer, and this is awful, but we're going to get you through it. And right. And I'm like, oh, this is a really awkward time to ask if I can have bigger boobs, because he's being so empathetic and gentle. So finally, my husband just goes, so we're rappers. And it was a record scratch. It was like the doctor and the nurse just stop and turn. And to clear up the confusion, he says, "Are you familiar with Nicki Minaj?" And I was just like, oh my God, stop. Oh my God, stop. I think what my husband's trying to tell you is I would like bigger boobs. And then, as though I had handed Monet his first paintbrush, Dr. Bartholomew pushes off the table I'm sitting on, goes like this, like a framing me. "Yeah, I think I could probably get you to a D." And that was like the end of my appointment. And I was just like, what just happened?
I thought when you mentioned Nicki Minaj, you were going to say Brazilian butt lift or something. Like,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
just go ahead and do a twofer. Or
Ah,
2 for
not
1,
allowed.
maybe.
Insurance won't pay for that, but insurance is paying for my boobs. And I feel like that's how you win at American Health Insurance. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you, Anthem Blue Cross.
Doing something good for us, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So yes, you and your husband are rappers.
Yeah. I mean, I use the term loosely.
Can you throw out some freestyle here for me? Show
No,
me
no.
a little of your
Nope.
style. No,
Sure can't, but we do
you
have a
can't spit
song.
a little for me.
Not freestyle. No, but I am working on a song right now, based on the trope of women talking about how hot they are. But it goes something like, I don't have a beat for it yet, so you just have to be patient, but it goes, "I'm hot, pause, flashing." So instead of being hot, I'm having hot flashes.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
hot,
okay.
flashing. There's no smashing. Like, it's just, I'm very excited about it.
Well, when you release it, I will be more than happy to give it to some of my patients in the clinic going through perimenopause and menopause. I'm sure they would love to hear some laughter and music.
Oh, it's a journey. Yeah, but stand-up comedy was my therapy, getting through cancer, and I love doing it, and I'm very excited.
So yeah, you're pursuing it. You're just like, fuck it. That's one of the things that I love about you and that I've been privy to as being your friend for so many years is that like you did your era where you were doing culinary stuff and then you did your real estate era and then now you're doing you had to do your kick cancer's ass era and now you're doing your stand-up comedy era. Like I love that you're just like going for it and you do it. Like did that inspiration to do that come through the cancer or did it come from Canby or is there
I think I
a
was-
pill I can take?
I think I was a little bit always that way. I think it's one of the gifts of ADD. It's just this constant desire to try new things. ADD is also a gift if you let it be. But what I love is I genuinely you only get one spin around this rock. And if there's something I want to try, I'm going to try it because I'm not coming back a second time in my estimation, in my worldview. I'm not coming back a second time. I'm not going to get a chance to do it again. And when you're surrounded by people that love you and encourage you and believe in you, man, it's so much fun to try something new. So much fun. And you never know what you're going to be good at. And I thought, what's the worst thing that happens? I try it once, I hate it, I never do it again, but I learned something. And I just really, really love doing it. And we were just down rapping at a South by Southwest adjacent event. And who would have thought at the age of 45, I'd be saying rap words at people in Austin, Texas? I mean, I don't know, but my life is just one giant adventure and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, and that's what I love about you. So I love having you in my life.
Oh, you're the best.
And you can, officiate weddings too, just should the need arise.
I'm great at it.
You're great at it. The party
was
starts
the
when you get there.
I was the unofficial queer wedding officiator of Canby because everyone knew I was safe. So I just got to do so many same-sex marriages when I was in Canby. It was the best.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And okay, so let's transition now into reality TV.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about Seeking Sister Wife. Now, have you been a Seeking Sister Wife fan from season 1 or did you just pick up on it this season? Like, what's your story there?
Oh, I will watch anything TLC will throw at me. And I often find better names for it. For example, we call Last Resort Sadness Island. And I just don't know why.
Oh, that's the 90 Day
Bravo.
Fiance one.
Yeah.
The 90 Day
yeah.
Fiance one, yeah. Not my
Yeah.
show.
No.
Just to be clear.
Right.
But I'm going to watch it later and then I might call it that. I don't know.
You
I don't know.
quite
I don't know
probably
yet.
will call it that.
Yeah, I'll watch anything they throw at me. I have very strong feelings about every person that's ever been on 90 Day Fiance.
Well,
specific-
throw some at us.
If I could pick one person to hang out with for the afternoon from the world, from the 90 Day Fiance cinematic universe, I pick Miss Debbie. I just love
Johnson,
her.
Debbie Johnson, Colt,
The one that rides the
Colty's mom?
donkey.
Oh, the recent Debbie. Oh,
Yeah.
the Debbie that came after I stopped watching. Oh,
No,
but I know who
I
she
just love
is.
her.
I know
I
who
just
she
love
is.
her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, don't
And I
let me
love-
ask all the questions, Lexi.
I love
Becca.
polygamy stuff too. I just love weird polygamy stuff. I'm not intending that it's weird. The show is weird, not the people or their lifestyle I respect. But
Right.
I have a very important question because
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
started watching it. Have you seen Big Love?
oh my gosh, I watched it when it originally aired.
Did you?
And
Because
I've-
I knew about it and I never watched it and I just started watching it. And I'm like, what took me so long?
Right?
Me
There are
too,
a lot
Becca.
of-
Me too.
Ah!
so many parallels with what we're seeing on
Oh,
TV these
100%.
days.
It's been super fascinating to watch while I'm watching Seeking Sister Wife and like Sister Wives. Like, I'm like, man, why did it take me so long to watch this show?
So good.
I know. And like
Have
the
you watched
acting
it,
and the writing
Katrina?
are so good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Big Love. I watched it. I watched like the some of it the first time it was out, but I'm rewatching it now that Becca had mentioned it. I was like, okay, so now it's the show I'll put on in like the background, and I'm watching whatever. She's getting Mother of the Year right now.
I'm have my breast reconstruction coming up in a few weeks, and I have 2 weeks, and I'll have nothing to watch because I've already watched everything on the internet. So now maybe I'll rewatch it too. I haven't watched it
There
in
you go.
forever.
It's super interesting watching it too now that like it's almost 20 years old when the first season aired. Like it's weird to say that like 2006 is almost 20 years ago, but like there's definitely some era stuff in there that you're like, oh man, that was a thing back then. Like it's just kind of interesting to like go back and watch that.
Ooh. But also, I think culturally, our relationship with traditional marriage and traditional relationships is evolving. So, like, I think I might read it differently now than I did when I
Yeah.
watched it the first time.
That's something that actually now that you mention it, I'm like, okay, so you work in an area that represents the queer community. You come from a history of working around people of, let's say, varying traditional looking relationships. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what the best way to put it is, but people of all types. So it's a really interesting point that you make about looking at the cultural norms then versus now. Can you elaborate maybe a little bit on this? And Becca, you as well, with your degrees in God and all that.
Yeah. Well, I live outside of Portland, Oregon, so I'm basically the only monogamous person in my city. That's not true, but it feels like it sometimes. Ethical
It's
non-monogamy.
not true that you're monogamous. So I mean,
Oh my goodness! Look at what you're gonna start.
I know. Look what I'm starting. Look at rumors. Look at all the rumors.
That's exactly what the internet needs. More rumors about me. STAs, did you hear that? So it's ethical non-monogamy is very common here. I would say most, but probably about half of the people in our friend circle are. And so I'm more interested in the relationship between genders in these relationships than the existence of this non-traditional relationship, right? Like the power differentials between partners, that I find really fascinating because that's less common with like modern ethical non-monogamy than it is like polygamy or whatever. And that's the part that I think keeps me around, is just the power differentials and those dynamics between partners, so different than modern polyamory.
Becca?
Yeah, and it's been interesting too because Katrina and I, it was just us last week, and so we went off the rails a little bit. But
we didn't have Lexi in her notes to keep us on track.
We didn't, so we were all over the place. But one of the things we did talk about is how popular Seeking Sister Wife is versus Seeking Brother Husband, where there was only one season and it was like 6 episodes versus, 5 seasons of like 12 plus episodes. And I think that's super fascinating to me because obviously there's a lot more like religious backgrounds for a lot of people around why polygyny is more of a thing. Polygyny is one dude, a bunch of women, versus the other model. So it's like more, it's like traditional polygamy,
Right.
right? Which is like weird to say, but like
right.
that's
This is
a
what we were
thing.
talking about last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I found myself watching the Seeking Brother Husband thing and feeling like there people like know what polygyny is. Like they know like that, even though like polygamy, and obviously it's decriminalized in Utah now, and so like there's a very different feel to it versus when Big Love aired, where it was illegal and you could literally be thrown in jail for many years for practicing it. But like what's interesting now is that like obviously ethical non-monogamy is more of a thing and people are talking about that more, but then also the Seeking Brother Husband, like there wasn't this like assumed relationship between the potential husband versus the sister wives where like it's expected like y'all are going to be best friends and like make food together and like raise kids together.
I loved Seeking Brother Husband, and I have pretty strong opinions about the fact that it was never as successful. And I wonder if there are a
Yeah.
couple of things in play. One is that for Seeking Sister Wives, like we weirdly think, oh, these are the good polygamists because they're not marrying like 5-year-olds, right? And so there's this built-in like, oh, they're the good ones, right?
So true
that
though.
there's no background on brother husbands of. It's just like, oh, what's this? What's happening? Whereas like there's
Yeah.
this kind of this assumed okayness with Seeking. The other thing is the breeding component, which is that when there's multiple men and one woman, you can only have so many children. But kind of what makes
Because it gets bottlenecked.
yes.
Great.
Jesus
Yes,
juice.
true.
Jesus juice.
Jesus jizz.
Jesus jizz. Sorry, not
Oh my
juice.
Jesus
Gin and
juice is funny
juice.
too.
I
Like
had-
gin and Jesus juice.
Jesus juice.
It was
Oh my
Easter.
God.
It was Easter, by the way.
Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, Sarah, you missed
Woo!
out on that episode.
No, but I'm getting hot and heavy thinking about what it must have been about.
Eric's Jesus is going into your brain DNA.
Yes. It
Uh,
was really special, Sarah.
oh, I believe it.
It's like
Imagine
after school
if-
special, like
Imagine if on Seeking Brother Husband there were 18 kids. You'd be like, what? Time is bendy. But with Seeking Sister Wives, you can have that many kids around.
Totally.
Well, that was like the original like polygamy, right? That's part of the reason is so you could continue to breed.
Liverful.
When
Yeah.
when one's got a bad ute or something and can't pop out any more kids or whatever. I'm sorry.
When
That
one's
was
got a
very-
bad ute.
That's very insensitive of me.
What?
It's not produce.
Wow.
I'm trying to use the terminology that these guys use, right? Like Mary was no use to Cody anymore because she couldn't have any more kids, right?
Right.
So and in on Big Love, it was the same thing. The only reason why they went polygamy was because wife number one, I forget her name, she had cancer and so she couldn't have any more kids. So they got married. So you have to produce all of these children and stuff. And so when you look at the other direction, that doesn't come into play. So I feel like with the other direction, you're getting much more of the ethical non-monogamy types versus a traditional polygamous type, that sort of this traditional polygamy versus non-traditional polygamy.
Yeah, which is why, and I wish, Sarah, that we were going to have you on when they were focusing on the other couple that they didn't focus on this episode, with the woman who's bisexual and like she's seeking a wife, because I would love to have your thoughts on
And
that.
he's
Oh, we
clearly
can talk about it. Yeah.
and he's
let's
clearly
talk.
very insecure about his role in that relationship, because he takes no interest in the other person beyond, you do understand that I'm also here, correct? That's like the only question he ever asks. He's
Right.
he's not like, tell me about yourself.
Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, he doesn't say that. He's like, I'm also here. Like, so insecure about it.
Yeah.
Well, and he also, and he has a history, right, of like a former partner who came out as gay and then left. And so I think
he thinks
and
it's
so
him. He thinks he's got that
clearly-
powerful of a dick that he can turn women.
So I
off
think
it.
well, my guess is he needs to, like, he has a lot of unworked through issues around that. So then when she came out as bisexual, like, he was already not comfortable. And then now that she's dating people, yeah, he seemed relieved when the first one that they had no chemistry whatsoever, and we think is a producer plant, probably. He seemed like super relieved about that. But then now she's dating someone else, and obviously, like, because it's reality TV, they're gonna completely play up like, oh, like he's worried she's gonna leave him for her, and blah 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 blah.
What I don't understand from the show and all those scenes that I have yet to see them talk about is whether or not her idea of what the sister-wife relationship is aligned with his idea of what the sister-wife relationship is. And you kind of get the sense, because you don't hear her talk to these people she's dating about the dynamic that she's looking for. Like, she's just dating them. Like, they don't really talk about like, oh, we're going to have some sort of like polycule or whatever they have in mind for like this life. She's just dating them. And I'm like, oh, when he says sister wife and she says sister wife, I'm not sure they mean the same thing.
Well, as Becca pointed out last week, that it's not a sister wife, it's a wife and a husband.
Yes.
Right, like, it's not seeking sister wife, it's just seeking wife. Because there is no sister wife, like, she's the wife. Like, which is fine. It's just funny that they're on a show called Seeking Sister Wife, and it's not that.
Well,
but
perhaps
it's
that's
fine.
why the Seeking Brother Husband didn't work out so well, because they're trying to take modern ethical non-monogamy and fit it into a traditional quote unquote polygamy form TV show. Like, you're trying to make it fit this box of a TV show they already had. And with ethical non-monogamy, it's not going to fit into that the same way, because it's done for different reasons and the people are involved are different, and their dynamics between genders, as Sarah, as you pointed out, is very, very different than what you see in like an ethical non-monogamy, how the genders deal, sort of relate to each other versus the giant power dynamic we see on here. Like, the one who triggered me to all hell this week, the Alamo people.
Were we saying it right? Is it
No, it's the Alamo.
Alamo. Oh, like lamb, like ba.
Alamo.
Like
Alamo. It's either Alamo or Alamo. I don't know.
It
How
looks
has
like
Teal-
Alamo.
Them fucked up cult people.
My question is, how has TLC not created a show around ethical non-monogamy? Because that would be an interesting show. I'd watch
Well,
it. A reality show
Peacock-
around people.
Peacock did Couple to Thruple, and that's as
that's
close.
right.
That's as close as you're gonna get. Although, I mean, it
That
was
is a very different
interesting.
format, you said, though, right?
Very different format. It's much
Yeah.
more like, it's much more game showy quiz, like, oh, we're gonna pick a partner, and maybe if you pick the same people and all the people who are interested step down, and and we're gonna pick somebody to live with for the next 2 days in our whatever. It was really, really, I found it really interesting, honestly, because it was, I mean, I'm not going to say it was really deep, but as far as dealing with what I have seen in mainstream media about ethical non-monogamy, it was probably the most modern take on it I've seen. Sarah, have you seen that show?
No, but it keeps coming up. I've been saving some stuff for my recovery, and that's on my
Yeah, that'll be a
recovery
good
list of
one.
like something I can just binge and is just garbage.
Yeah.
And then I
yeah.
can leave it being like, I'm doing a great job at life because
Right.
look at them. Like that's
Right.
that's what I'm looking for.
I feel like that's
Yes.
most of reality TV.
Yeah, it totally is. And you know what? I forget that my 3-year-old is picking up on stuff. So there are certain shows I do not watch around her. But like she's been watching My 600-Pound Life, and now she's walking around with the stethoscope going, I'm Dr. Now. I'm Dr. Now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then she's like,
Did you teach her how to say, hey, how y'all doing?
no. But I'm trying to teach her how to be kind to people because she obviously pointed out the physical differences and anyways in people in the show. But I'm like, okay, we have, everyone's different, and trying to have those lessons at 3 has been interesting. But anyways, I don't remember where I was going with that. Sorry, I keep muting it because she's making noises and my dog is barking.
Well,
been a
Dr.
night.
Now is on as we are recording this. And so I'll have to watch it tomorrow.
Mm.
But
Yeah. Yeah. I never saw Seeking Brother Husband though. Was it worth it? Was worth it though? It was good.
Pastor Becca, you have an opinion on it.
I mean,
You told me I should watch it.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. But they didn't like give it enough work to it. Like I feel like they put a lot more work into Seeking Sister Wife than they did Seeking Brother Husband. Like I feel like it was kind of an afterthought. Like, oh, we have like this successful show. Let's like throw in the like opposite of that or whatever.
Other couples we found during the casting of this one.
Yeah, or whatever. And like it just didn't have this, it just didn't have the same production value. It just didn't feel like they did as much work on it, and it was only 6 episodes, so it felt like they just sort of gave up on it. Like I don't know.
It does feel like they just like were like, okay, let's just throw in the towel. But I will say this about from my perspective. Did I enjoy watching it? Yes. Was it as good as I wanted it to be? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fair. It's still interesting to watch just because like the dynamics are very different, because obviously in a lot of polygamous couples or polygamous, plural family where it's like one dude and women and a bunch of women, like there's this underlying patriarchal assumption. Whereas like Brother Husband kind of flips that in a way that like I think viewers weren't necessarily ready for in a patriarchal society. And so like that's kind of fun to watch because I can like sit there and be like, I'm sure a lot of people are uncomfortable watching this right now.
Well, and I also think, in my estimation, the women on Seeking Brother Husband treated their partners with more respect than the husbands do on Seeking Sister Wives. And so in a way, and this is a horrible thing to say, but it's America in 2024, it just kind of wasn't as fun to watch. Because there was like no one to really hate, or like, you couldn't hate watch anyone because everyone was like pretty respectful of each other and had like open and honest conversation. And I was like, this is the way it should be, but man, can't someone get angry?
Yeah, which is like something that I've noticed amongst my ethical non-monogamous friends, right? Is they talk endlessly about this stuff, right? They communicate way better than, couples that have been married for 20 years, right? It's something that I noticed on Couple to Throuple is these couples, these groups, or however, you wanted to define them. There was so much talking and processing and figuring this all out and things like that, and sharing of genuine feelings and caring about, okay, I really genuinely care that you're upset about this. What can we do to make that better? Versus you're never going to get serial killer number 2 to be like, to ask Becky, what do you feel about this? Like, oh, you're serious? Are you bothered by this? No.
Exactly.
She's talking about the Ryans. I'm just translating.
It's like healthy for those conversations. It's just not great TV. Right.
Right.
That's fair.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely fair. But so let's hold on. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk about the show some more. So this episode, Lexi, our scribe, is back, but it was kind of boring in that several of the family, we call them couples, whatever they are, didn't really have much. Do we want to let's just knock them out of the way and then we'll get into the real stuff.
Okay. Season 5, episode 5. Seeking can be complicated. This. Why are you laughing at me?
No,
I'm just laughing because I'm like, okay, how's Lexi gonna knock out the boring people? Like, I'm just curious how this is gonna go.
This is probably the worst episode. I have severe ADHD, and it was very hard for me to focus on this episode.
That's okay. That's why we have Sarah here too.
Right.
It's like the podcasting equivalent of swiping right or left, whichever one is the one that I don't want you. That's what we're gonna do with the first, like the boring people.
Yeah.
Swipe.
Swipe.
Right. Well, of course, I went in chronological order for the episode, so I don't know. We'll start with Danielle and Garrick.
Oh God.
Super exciting. The scene.
No, we're gonna come back to Danielle and Garrick. We're gonna go to the Davises first.
Well, I can't scroll my notes like that.
I know I'm screwing her up.
Jesus.
Just sniff around.
Sorry, Becca. Sorry.
Sniff around for the boom boom room, and you'll find them.
Yeah,
Can we
right.
Can we get a few bars?
I sing it all the time though. In the boom boom room. I'm doing that. Oh, my favorite part is the beginning. All the planets, whatever, orbit around the sun, but they don't all get the same sunlight at the. What does that mean? We know what it means.
Yeah, we know what it means. We call him
yes.
Galileo.
That's what we've been calling him.
Fantastic.
He has to sit around and think while the planets. He has to. What do you think he thinks about all day, Sarah? I'd love to hear from you.
Exactly. That's it. Nothing.
Yeah,
that's what he thinks about.
Nothing.
Mic drop.
But I like that he dresses up to be a stay-at-home father. Who
Oh, we
wears, like,
talked about that.
I
We
just
were
love
like,
that for him.
suit and tie every day, baby.
Do you think he cooks?
I would like to think so. I actually I like them. I like him. I think that I don't know. I have a soft spot for them.
That's
All
funny.
right.
I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I hate him so much. I hate him so much. I like the women though, for the most part. But yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Katrina, what did you try to tell me to find in my notes? What?
The Davises.
The Davises.
Nick, Galileo, Danielle.
I'm scrolling.
Just a
Okay,
conversation with Jennifer.
Keisha, Ryan family.
Keisha.
Davises.
She doesn't exist.
Becky, Maryfield, Garrick, Natalia. Okay, well, it starts with Danielle and April sitting down having a conversation. There we go. I found it.
There we
Page
go.
3 of notes. And Danielle's crying, and April's like, well, just next time communicate if you're having these thoughts of wanting to leave. And Danielle was like, I just thought it would be easier if I just pieced out with my plants and just took them and left.
The plans.
She really didn't say that, but we know that's what she
but
did.
every time.
Every time. You got to can't forget about the plants.
Yeah. And April says she forgives her and that don't worry, we'll take it slow with dating. We don't have to find someone right now. That's the gist of it.
But look, I need to deconstruct this because I hate moving so much. This woman's telling us that finding an apartment, signing a lease, and moving is easier than having a conversation about your feelings.
Like, this is what I've been saying.
Moving's the worst.
Moving's the worst.
For sure.
I'm gonna send her my copy of the attachment theory book I bought. I feel like she's a dismissive avoidant and just dipping. Like, I'm out.
It's
I'm not
just
gonna have a-
easier. It's just easier to move. It's just
With
easier
your
to move.
plans.
Said no one ever about anything. People literally stay in marriages that they don't want to be in because of what a pain it is to move.
Yeah, for real.
And all she had to do
Yeah.
was tell people about her feelings. And she was like, no, I'll move.
And she didn't
Which
have a
is-
bed to move because there's the ginormous one that she's not, that one's not leaving the house. So it's like, what furniture is she taking? I don't know.
her plants. She took her plants. So yeah, she signed a lease, came back to the house, but they're all worried because she did it once, she's gonna do it again, which is like a valid worry, I guess, in any relationship where it's not very strong. I mean, I don't worry that my husband's gonna do it, but I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you want to go next, Katrina?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know. You told me what to do. You told me who to start with.
Okay, are we done with the Davises then?
That's pretty much it.
That's it.
I
That's all
think
that
I'm pretty
happened.
sure that's all that happened with them.
Do we have any other thoughts on them before we dispose of them?
I'm gonna
Like
delete this paragraph in my notes so I don't keep coming
like
back.
yesterday's garbage.
Yesterday's garbage. Oh my gosh. Do we even have to talk about like the couple in Pennsylvania? Because that again was pointless.
It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna meet her. Oh, let's go to this random flower shop where we're gonna buy. That was the most contrived thing I've
Oh.
ever seen in my life. And then like that poor flower lady, she clearly had no idea like what was happening. And like I just felt really bad for her because I'm like, people are gonna watch that and like talk so much smack about you on the internet. And like it was a 2-second like interview clip.
Mm-hmm.
My
And I just-
favorite reality TV trope is when they surprise ambush the small shopkeeper with their,
Yes.
oh, I'm getting this for my husband in prison. I've never met him story. Or, that's
Right.
my favorite trope.
Yeah. I hate that trope drives me bonkers though. Like, okay, so like I get that like that's all Borat does is like literally ambush people. Like I understand that and like I get why it's like intriguing to watch, especially if it's like Rudy Giuliani. But like when it's like random people that like are like in small town, like I don't know, it just feels icky to me. I felt bad for her because she clearly was just very like blindsided by the whole thing.
Like it's a little it feels a little exploitative at times, right? Is that like yeah. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
liked that she still gave her real take. She was like, "You want my honest take? This is what it is." And I was like, good for you.
The best part is they bleeped it out, right? So they're just like I was just like, okay then.
Alrighty then.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
anyway.
This
So-
episode should have been called something like just ghosting because everyone's ghosting each other in this episode, not seeking.
So does Keisha exist or is Keisha just ghosting them?
I think she exists. 'cause
Discuss amongst yourselves.
well, no, I mean they were FaceTiming, and so they had a relationship going for months. I would assume
Allegedly.
they would have FaceTimed at least. I mean,
Allegedly.
yeah.
I mean, we didn't see it on camera, did we?
no.
That's what I'm
No.
saying. Is it a producer?
Well, that's what we knew. We knew this couple wasn't going to be a big couple in the in the show because they had pushed them back. Like, what were they even in the first episode? Very briefly or whatever, and they haven't.
Yeah.
Their storyline has been very slow.
They sat
No,
at a
they,
table.
they were in the first 2 episodes and they weren't in like 3 episodes. And then they showed back up or whatever. Not 3 episodes, but you know what I mean. They weren't in like multiple episodes. And then they showed back up in this one. And everyone's like, okay, finally, we're going to find something out. And it's like, Keisha, no show. And then you're like, okay, cool. I'm
Well,
glad
and
they
we
came
s-
back for that.
We see
we're gonna
her
have-
picture, so that she obviously signed. If it is her,
Yeah, she
yeah.
signed the
consent.
release.
Right? She signed
so
the
she
release.
exists. Yeah.
Unlike
Or-
Stephanie.
Or they found somebody else's pictures that they bought and passed her off as Keisha, which is
Yeah.
they've been known to
I mean, that's true too.
do.
Nothing would surprise me. With
Yeah.
production, but
Yeah.
you know.
Then that was it. And then they like went to the dinner anyway, which I thought was weird. And then they just like talked about it. And then it was like he's the husband's like, I want to meet people in like the wild. As opposed to like
Me too. Me too.
I was
Where-
also fascinated by the fact that he was like, this is where we were going to go to dinner. And it appears, I'm sure it's nicer than this in real life, but from the footage, it's like, did he just take her to a shack dressed for like decorated for a high school prom? What's happening? There's like
So true.
fake plants with Christmas lights in them. And then they order like, order fruity martini. This was his grand plan for the woman he had never met before.
Yeah.
The girl
this
they were
is
going
how
to
he
pick up.
woos
Yeah.
his second wife.
Like a
That's
Southern Applebee's or some shit.
It was happy hour. So there's that.
I mean, to be fair, I've been in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and so like most of the restaurants look like that. So like it wasn't weird to me.
And I'm not against it. I love a place that looks like it's about to fall down. I'm sure that business is much nicer in person than the camera made it look, but I was really like, wow.
This is what you got, huh?
It's a man made for romance, this guy.
Well, he's not completely great yet, because remember, this is the family that, like, if she can make him great, imagine what another woman could do. Imagine how great he can be if there's another woman. I'm like, that's just what we need, is another inflated male ego in this world.
So
Mhm.
happy for that.
So that's it. That's all we got from them.
Yeah,
Right.
that was literally it. That
That
was
was
their plot.
yeah.
Plant
Yeah.
Lady stole the show on them.
Plant lady.
I feel like she should be a meme, like her facial expressions at
What
one
do you think
point.
she said? What was bleeped out?
Asshole. But doesn't it start with an A? I
Oh,
think that's what she said.
I thought she said fucking crazy or something.
Yeah,
These-
I thought she said they were fucked. Like
Oh,
that's
fuck.
what she said.
Wrong answers only.
Uh,
But
I
yeah,
can't
she
even
definitely
think-
she definitely stole their plot for sure.
Yeah.
What
Real
plot?
The lack thereof.
She
At
is
least she brought flowers. Like, what are they? At least she had something to offer.
mhm.
The best part was when she was like, "Oh yeah, let me go get the flowers. Here, go walk in my garden as if we hadn't made this up already." Right? Like, it
Go
was
take a stroll
so
amongst-
weird.
amongst my gardens.
So weird. Anyway,
So yeah, that was it with them. So where do we want to go? Do we want to go Merryfields or
Yeah,
do we-
let's just do the Merryfields because like it goes in order, and I don't have my glasses on, so I really have to focus. All right, so the Merryfields. Of course, Garrick, being the piece of crap guy that he is lying to his new girl Natalia and to Danielle, saying he, I guess, was not active on the apps. Come to find out, he had 10 apps on his phone, and he was talking to
dating apps.
I can't
Right.
even name 10 dating apps.
right?
I tried.
And
I
just-
tried when I was watching this. I can name more varieties of fried potato than I can dating apps. And yet he had 10 on his phone.
Name some dating apps. Let's see what we can
Okay.
come up with.
You got
Bumble,
Bumble, Hinge,
Hinge,
Match. I think it's still out there.
Mhm.
Tinder,
Plenty of Fish,
Grinder.
True.
I don't know if Garrick had that one on his phone. but
Coffee
it's-
Meets Bagel.
Coffee Meets Bagel.
I've heard of this one. I've not done it, no, but I've
That's
heard
a
of it.
dating app?
It
I've
is.
never heard of that before.
Farmers Only. I feel like Garrick might kill on Farmers Only.
Wait, this is
Christian Mingle.
Christian Mingle.
Christian
Yes.
Mingle.
What's
Oh,
the Jewish
no.
one? There's a Jew. They
J-Date.
J-Date.
Oh, eHarmony.
Mhm.
Oh,
We're
is
doing a
that
great
still-
job.
Is that still out there? Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
We are doing a great job. We too could date polygamy. Because apparently he needed 10 different apps because polygamists are
Wait,
so
is
much.
OkCupid still around?
Good job, Becca. Yes.
Okay,
That's how I
Cupid.
met my husband
Me
back before
too.
it was cool.
Me too.
Aw.
Okay, Cupid.
I got pregnant from Bumble, so there's that. I was like,
All right.
what?
I mean, I was going to say that counts, but like, how do we decide what counts with dating apps? Like,
You got pregnant from Bumble.
I have Kaya because of Bumble, so there's that.
oh my gosh.
I was fascinated by his argument that he needed 10 as he needed to cast a wide net, right? But I'm also like, sir, you are on a national TV show. Like, you don't need the exposure from 10 dating apps. I think if someone's looking for you, they'll find you. But he's like, I had no choice but to have 10. And then, no choice. It's the only choice God gave me was 10 dating apps, or I'm not fulfilling his glory. And then poor Natalia, who we love, is on his phone and he gets, if you watch it, he gets a notification. Right? It's
Oh,
not
I
just
didn't
that
get
she saw
that.
the
Yeah.
app. He gets a
Yeah.
notification and then he's like, no, I'm not really on them. And I'm like, bruh, you have 10 dating apps and you're trying to tell me you don't know how dating apps work? It seems like you have a master's degree in dating apps to me.
Yeah.
But he loves to play the bumbling idiot, that one.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, what, me? Did I do something? Oh.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, Katrina and I, about how he just automatically just has this like wide-eyed like look of like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. When in reality, like he clearly does.
Yeah.
Well,
And he's like, go ahead.
oh, the thing with the dating apps is, Danielle knows he's a lying sack of shit because she goes through the dating app stuff with him. And then, so she knows he's lying, and he's standing there going, "Oh, I don't know anything about dating apps."
And then he goes on to say, like, I don't want to be rude to the people that we, didn't have connection with, the internet strangers that you've never met that, you don't know anything to.
Imagine
And
how
it's
weird
like,
that'd be. If you hadn't talked to someone in like 4 months and suddenly got a message from them that was like, I hate to break it to you, but I found someone else.
I'd
I think
probably
she's
block
moved
that
on by
person.
now.
I'd probably block them if I got that message. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is psychotic.
And yet he had no other choice.
Yeah, no, because it was
Right.
God's will or whatever.
My
Ooh, you
gosh.
know-
I want to talk about the hyssop thing because
Yes.
that was wacky.
Yeah, I want to hear
was
the
in my notes.
I did send you that video clip because I'm like, what? Like, what's the theology on this nonsense? Please give us the quote and then
Yes.
and
Give us the quote,
the
Lexi.
context and the
Yes,
theology.
Let
And
me
then,
scroll down because it's later on in the.
Yeah, this was like the never ending conversation,
Well,
even though there was like 2 breaks, right? Like one was at night and one was in the morning, but
Right.
it was, yeah.
Okay, well, first, before we get into that, we have to, I have to quote a couple things that he said
Okay.
leading up to this.
Oh gosh.
So, Garrick said that Natalia is questioning his intentions and that things aren't looking good after, this whole drama went down. And then he said, quote, I don't want to displease God or you. I am sorry. To which Danielle follows up with this quote, God leads us and we walk together, and then they make out. And I'm like, this couple's like killing people. I don't know what they're doing on the side, but I feel like they're like serial killers or some sort of like.
he's dead behind the eyes and he doesn't blink. I'm telling you,
Yes.
he's a serial killer. Sarah.
Sociopath. Yes.
I will say, like, when she said the like God leads and we follow together, I was like, oh gosh, that sounds like something like one of the like Mormon polygamous groups from like the Compound on Big Love would say. Like, maybe because I'm watching them at the same time, but I was
Right.
just like,
God leads them to so many all-inclusive resorts in Mexico.
Yeah.
That's where God leads them.
It's
Do you
true.
think they have a loyalty card?
Maybe, but I've been to one of them that they were at. I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I filmed the music video for I'm Basic. I am one all-inclusive resort degree away from Garrick and Danielle, and I'm pretty excited about that.
You were this close to
Wow.
becoming a sister wife.
Yeah, right?
Congratulations. I don't know what we should give you for this. Like a really awful Bible passage quote. Here
Yeah,
you
right.
go.
I was irrationally excited. If only I was on one of 10 dating apps, I too could be Garrick's sister wife.
My God. No, you know why? Because you're not 20 years old. So you're
Oh
too.
gosh.
You're not
Yeah.
Brazilian.
20. Yeah, you're not Brazilian,
And you don't have the boobs yet.
You speak English.
Yeah.
Wait till
so
you have the boobs.
And I also don't call other women sister in a creepy way.
You just took the words right out of my mouth. That was the next thing I was going to say because that was so
Sister.
disgustingly disturbing and made my stomach churn.
Can we
I
have
was
a
like
dramatic
that.
reading? Sarah, will you give us a dramatic reading of this?
I don't have it to read. What are you
Imagine.
talking about? Oh, you mean like read it, or like
read it.
Oh, look.
Come on now.
This is what I don't want. If someone else is sleeping with my husband, which is clearly all Garrick wants because he's overly invested in getting to the proposal. He's like, I know she's not talking to me right now, but I still think I might propose. Like, we get it. You want to get it in, Garrick. But but if someone else is sleeping with my husband and then she turns to me and says, sister, I just love you so much, I would punch a bitch. Like, I absolutely, it wouldn't even be about them sleeping with my husband. It would be about the audacity of calling me sister. I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Well,
Well,
and
and
they
then-
did that with Roberta. So I think they're just like
Bert.
or whatever, the last one who this is Roberta 2.0.
Yeah.
But like they're just transferring all the stuff they did with her onto Natalia, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it worked so well for them the first time. There's
It's true.
just
Exactly.
keep repeating your same pattern. You guys.
Well, and then when
Do it.
Garrick's like apologizing, he starts fake crying. And I'm like, these are like Robin's tears from Sister Wives. There are none. There are no tears coming out of his eyes, his sociopathic eyes.
None.
Ugh.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Let's
I want to
see.
hear about hyssop though. I did not understand
Yes.
any of that when
Yeah,
it was happening on
so-
I'm
TV.
finding. let's
Yeah, can you give us
see.
the direct quote, Lexi?
You know, you guys want to know what I typed.
Oh
Okay,
God.
I'm sorry. Okay, it says,
I have it if you don't.
okay, Natalia said she thinks she knows what he did. Otherwise, she wouldn't have given him a second chance. Like, she's like, I know what he did, and he knows what he did. Sorry, whatever.
Okay.
And then I literally typed, Katrina, do you want to talk about the hyssop and King David story?
Yes, I do. I want Becca to talk about this.
Okay.
I knew Katrina, because you had posted the Instagram thing that you were gonna have the answers, and I guess I just didn't feel like typing, so I literally wrote that out.
Well, I don't have the answers, but Pastor Becca will have the answers.
I mean, okay, so,
wait, the quote is, let's see. Let me see here.
I did not feel like writing the quote down, obviously.
he was
Wow.
like, if I remember correctly, it was like, you know, as King David said, like hyssop like festers stuff out of a wound, which is like not even grammatically correct, but that's a whole other conversation. Fester stuff out of a wound. And so like maybe God needed to fester stuff out of me.
Well, something's
Like
festering.
infections.
Yeah. Okay. So hyssop does have antiseptic properties.
What is hyssop?
Okay, so hyssop is basically an herb. It's an herb. It's
Okay.
like frankincense and myrrh and like
Okay.
that kind of thing, right? And so it was used to like help with infections back then because they didn't have antibiotics.
So it was
And-
medicinal.
Yeah, and so like yeah, if you had an infection, you put some hyssop in it, and like in theory, it would help with the infection. But like the whole point is like you're stopping it from festering. You're not like festering out something. So like just the way he phrased it was weird. But also, he is quoting Psalm 51, which the actual quote from Psalm 51 is, "Cleanse me with hyssop and I will be clean. Wash me and I will be whiter than snow." So he's trying to like quote this reference to like God cleansed me basically by his reference to hyssop. But it's like a weird obscure reference. So like if you don't know the Bible, you're just like, what is he talking about? What the hell is hyssop? Why is he talking about wounds?
This
Is
is the
he a
same guy
festering
who
wound?
said
like what?
this is the
Why
same
is he
guy who said
talking
it's
about
Jesus just would cross the blood-brain barrier and get into your DNA in your brain.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Did he
So,
also
like,
hear that in the garage?
The magic.
I want to go to
garage.
Garrett's
Magic
garage.
Take a magical journey.
What kind of
So,
herbs are they
like-
smoking there?
Well, this just goes on to like show how some people can just take whatever they want out of any context, make it what they want, or make an excuse for their poor behavior. Because there are a lot of Christians and just religious people that will go to church every Sunday and then sin more than anyone I've ever seen in my life, and then go and pray and be like, I'm
Right.
forgiven, which, well, that's a whole nother topic. But but I feel like he's one of them. Garrick's like, well, you know.
He thinks what he's doing is of God, right? Like any thought that comes into his head,
Of which there are 3.
yeah, that somehow thinks that there are, yeah, he's gonna have more wives than thoughts because he's got 5
He
wives.
has more. He certainly has more dating apps than thoughts.
You know what? He should date Nick, and then Nick could be the thinker, and Garrett could just be, I don't know, just be there.
Well, if they put the two the wife and the potential wife together, and then with the 3 wives, then he would have the 5 wives that he apparently has decided that God will give him. So
You know damn well he's not going to stop at 5, though.
No, he has
you
this
think he'll
image.
even get to 5? Like
They can't get to 3.
they can't even get to 2.
They can't get to 2.
Math.
Do you know what Danielle says in this scene though? That's super interesting. It was like, first off, she wasn't being interviewed with Garrick when she said it. So, you know, she might tell the truth. She said, I had to write it down because I was so excited. She said, just be honest. I'm still really wanting to date more people because I feel like that's the bottom line. And I was like, oh, Danielle knows. Like, it's not. Danielle knows. Like, I was like, oh, yes. That's like probably one of the only critical things I've ever heard her say about Garrick.
And what's interesting to me is that after that whole scene played out, Garrick then goes on to say, well, you know, right now, like I deleted the apps, but she's got to know that I'm going to download them again when we look for another sister wife. Did you guys catch that?
No, yeah,
that
yeah,
little
100%. Yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh, like you're apologizing, and then you're
Already, yeah.
already say, like, was that necessary to say right now in this moment? Like, during your
Well-
apology. I don't know.
Well, God told him he's gonna have 5 wives, so like he's on the trajectory, and he has.
She
to
better
remind
get on
everyone of
board
that.
with the fact that there
Yeah.
will be more wives because God.
Yeah. Oh.
Just
So
'cause
creepy.
God. Just because God.
Just
That's
'cause
what they're
God.
all- just
Yeah.
because God.
Well, and that's the problem with a lot of like things in general. It's like the minute you throw God into it, like no one can argue with you because like
Yeah.
what are you gonna say?
No,
Mhm.
God didn't say that. Well, I mean, I
Right,
don't
like,
think
how are
God
you gonna
did say that, but
Right? Like, and this is how atrocities are done in the name of God.
right,
Yeah.
right. Like, who am I to tell Garrick he didn't hear what he thought he heard? Right? Like,
I mean, what else? What if God was like, you'll have 5 ties? And he was like, wives? Yeah. But really, God was just like, maybe you need to hit up Macy's. You're running out of formal wear.
Well, but he isn't. I'm trying to remember. Didn't he the 5 wives thing come up when he had his
In the
vision
garage.
in the garage?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that when that happened?
Mhm.
And also, he had this sense of peace because he decided that God had told him that Natalia was going to be the second wife.
And to
Was-
move that fast. Yeah.
Yeah, to move that fast. Like
Straight
all of
to
that happened.
proposal.
Yeah,
Mhm.
apparently
Do not
that was
pass
a
go.
very happening garage moment.
Were they sitting in the car with it turned on and the garage door closed? Like, I mean, what was it carbon monoxide poisoning? Like, what is going on?
So like, okay, so I'm just gonna be the person that says this, but like obviously you can have like spiritual experiences and visions and like that's a thing. But like most visions that I hear people telling or I've experienced myself are like very simple. They're not like 5-part like okay
not.
you have peace,
Intermission.
okay, and then you're gonna get 5 wives, okay, and Natalia's gonna be the wife. Like there's just like too many pieces to this.
Lights are flashing in the lobby. Please
Right.
retake your seat for the rest of the show.
Right? Like I don't know, like I've just never heard of a vision that had like 15 parts to it.
Well, Garrick is a special motherfucker, so he gets
With the Jesus jizz, right?
right
Jesus
magical
jizz.
Jesus jizz. Yeah, he's the special guy.
I
who-
feel like we need some sort of merch with something Jesus jizz on it. I don't know. I wouldn't wear it out in public, but I'm just
I was gonna
saying.
say, I was like, you know how many people would get pissed off that, like,
I don't know, maybe a
that's so
sparkly sticker or something.
Underwear. I don't know. I'm
Jesus
just kidding.
jizz.
It breaks the brain barrier.
weird.
You want my Jesus jizz in your DNA?
Oh my
The
god.
best come on lines.
I can't, every time I think about that quote, I'm like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, you just can't. And like, it got to the point where people were
He
posting about it
did.
in my clergy groups, like on social media. Like, people have found this clip of him talking about Jesus jizz, and like, it was a topic with clergy.
And you're like, oh, I just did a whole episode on top of the
I
podcast.
literally did. I was like, I linked the episode. I was like, we were talking about Jesus jizz, everybody.
Did they say that they'd pray for you? Like,
No one commented. A couple people liked it. I
They
don't know
don't
if
need to
anyone
pray for
listened to
her.
it.
They need to pray for us.
well, yeah, I mean, all of us. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
All right. Well, that was like the end of that, right? Yeah.
I think so. So, one of the other things about this whole thing was, we talked a little bit about it last week, but I want to touch on it a little bit here. Was the fact that Danielle knew that he was on there, right, on the sites, and he wouldn't get off for her, but she gets off. He's getting off for Bert 2.0.
That was an interesting way to phrase that, and I enjoyed it immensely.
And then subsequently, she
Sorry.
also
It's late.
But he's not allowed to get off until proposal.
Yes.
then she was like, Danielle, you defend him too much. Like, he needs to feel the consequences for his actions. And I'm like, oh, this actually might be a spicy little addition because Danielle needs somebody like that in their life, right? Because she's not putting up with it. And this is why we like her. We like Danielle or what, not to.
Natalia.
Yeah, her 2.0 is that she cares more about Danielle than Danielle cares about Danielle. You're not
I worry
but it's a podcast. It doesn't
Well,
mean anything.
I don't oh, look, I don't know what happens in the relationship, but Danielle seems afraid of him, and she's not, and Talia's not afraid of him yet, right? There's a clearly some sort of power differential that Natalia isn't yet beholden to, right? So like,
well, and we've actually talked about that and how they come from like a more conservative Christian background, and so like that's pretty standard. Because they've talked about him being the head of the household, and like that's always code in like those kinds of groups, and so she's expected to be subservient to him, and like Natalia doesn't have that baggage.
She doesn't have it yet. She doesn't.
No, she's a fiery, and all of a sudden, and then she started speaking English to him. Like, oh no! I was like, here it comes. She's like, you understand me? I was like, uh oh. I was like, she knows way more English than we thought.
Be careful what you say. Anyway, any other thoughts on the Merrifields before we leave them in a festering pile of hyssop in Cancun?
They can fester in the corner.
Well, God festers things out of them.
The whole Ryan family for you was triggering. I feel like you should just talk about it because
talk to us about
Katrina
that.
has been fired up all day about the Ryan.
Because okay,
is this the guy with the blatant lack of blatant
Consent.
disregard for consent in all
Yes,
fashions? Yes.
Well,
okay,
yeah. So let's just talk about what happened and then
Okay. So
and then Sarah, I want you to weigh in.
So they were dating this woman, Stephanie, for 9 months, but she was flaky. She'd come and go. To me, it sounds like she's using them for whatever her own reasons are. But
Her gym membership, apparently.
yeah, yeah. And she's ghosted in the past, but then, her Becky or whatever the hell her name is, she gave Becky a necklace. And so Becky's like, well, she gave me this necklace and blah, blah, blah. And we're supposed to meet her and we're going to go see her. And then all of a sudden, the night before or whatever, she like cancels and says, oh, I have to work and whatever. And so they're like, well, we're just going to still go anyways, even though she said not to come. And that way we can just basically confront her to be like, are you in? Are you out? And Justin made a comment of, well, in the past, when she didn't want to initially see us, but we saw her, we showed up or whatever, she was then excited and melted in my arms. So I know she'll be happy to see me, even though she said she didn't want to see them.
There's so many things wrong with that sentence. I don't know where to start, Sarah.
Oh, I knew everything I needed to know about him really on episode 1, but there was something he said that I was like, you only say that. Hold on, I wrote it down. Oh, when at the very end, when Becky gets out of the door to go knock, this is what he says. He says, Becky is going to knock on the door. I don't want her to feel mad or intimidated that I showed up.
Yes.
And I think if you're dating someone, using the word intimidated there is really interesting because it implies that there's a reason she should feel intimidated, right?
Like there's a reason that she would be intimidated if you showed up at the door.
Yes. And
I
why,
agree.
like, that's the part that I was like, oh, he's saying something he doesn't realize he's saying to us, which is that
Leakage.
Yeah. Because I would never, if I was dating someone, even if I was like, hey, we're going through a rough time now, I don't really want you to come. If they showed up at my door, I would think it was weird but I wouldn't necessarily feel intimidated, right?
Right.
Like that's a like a power flex that I was like really uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Also, if you think someone might be mad or intimidated that you show up at their door, like maybe don't date them.
Yeah.
Or don't show up at their door.
Or don't show. Yes, that's the first thing. It's if they ask you not to do something, don't do it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I had so many problems with, many, many things in the scene. But like, so there, she can't, oh, she's flaky or whatever. Well, I mean, flaky, well, look at the narrator, right? Are they the most reliable narrator of the context of this relationship? Maybe there's a reason she felt intimidated. She would feel intimidated. Maybe there's been some kind of physical abuse. Who knows? I don't know what's been given the Alamo clan blah 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 whatever that he came cultivated they came from. That wouldn't surprise me, because that was very common for them.
Well, I don't think it's going to work out well for them because her face is blurred out on every picture. So I don't that they ever show.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's going to end well.
And
I mean,
Becca,
unless
you made
she signs a release like at that thing once they like surprise her. But yeah.
you made a good point of maybe this is production, just kind of doing it for show, and that they're really not going to her house, because there was a scene in actually 90 Day Fiance that Danielle talked about where she was coming to Maryland, and she was supposed to meet this guy. I don't remember his name. And
What was that?
Nelson,
Wes?
I think.
Nelson. That's
Or I
right.
think, I could be wrong. It's been, we don't really
Yeah,
talk.
Nelson.
but
Yeah.
anyways, the guy didn't show up, and so they still had her walk up to this door, right, and knock and act like she was trying to
Not-
get in or whatever.
Mhm.
It wasn't even real. So there could have been, like you said, Becca, maybe it was just like, okay, well, let's just do this for the show. But either way, if it was me, I would not consent to production to go show up at somebody's house who told me they didn't want me there. I mean,
But
that just-
even if you did, like the things that you say, their word choices are very telling. Like Sari was
Absolutely.
just saying, the word choice intimidated. Like there's a reason that was the word choice.
right,
I
agree.
the way that they talk about their she can't keep playing with us, it's she got to tell us, this way, yes or no, whatever. Well, she just told you no. She told you no by not telling you not to come, and you're showing up. So you can't say she's playing with you because she told you no. She broke up with you already. Like,
Well, then when he makes the comment too of I would take a bullet for her, I'd die for. I'm like, first of all, you have kids in a way. You're gonna die for this woman who is ghosting you ever
I
many
love her to
times.
death.
Like, that sounds crazy though. The way he said it was like crazy eyes. It made me really nervous. I'm like, okay, that just something was off with that
Well,
statement
he
as
also
well.
needed to put lip balm on so that his lips were kissable and ready
Or
to go.
moist.
So we're moist.
Moist.
Yes.
He also
Only-
oh god.
I would say only if she's not intimidated by him.
Well, I also thought it was funny that when they go pay the gym membership, right, which was like super weird. They clearly have a habit of manipulation in that way, like using money, because he says like, hopefully that removes this round of doubt. Like that's what he says after they renew her gym membership. And I'm like, oh, weird. This is a thing he does.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is a thing he does.
a form of
Gross.
financial control, and
Yeah.
like, I did this for you, you owe me. Ways to establish control,
Yeah.
the Alamo clan cults. Yeah, so there were so many, like, if their reactions in this scene are to be believed in any sense, the kind of leakage, like you said, with the word choice and some of their mannerisms and attitude or tone of voice and stuff, like, it's very clear that this is not something that they would have a problem with doing.
No, Becky-
even if it was-
Becky was like, let's just drive by her house to see if her car's there. I'm like, shit, what? Like, and then before they go knocking, I'm like, that was her idea to go by the house and see if the car was there.
like,
He was like,
Super
even
weird.
like, I'll look in the garage. The garage has windows. I'll look in, and I'm like, oh no, you won't. That's trespassing.
That's
Like,
weird.
oh.
yeah, this whole thing, like, it just shows, like, you can't, I guess you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig or whatever. Like, you could try to make these people act like, let's act like normal people. Oh, no, 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 but you can't fully, convince people that they're not these crazy cult people.
Instead of lipstick on a pig, it's chapstick on a dick. Sorry. Get it? Like,
You say sorry, like, we don't just say Jesus jizz. Come on.
You know, right? Like,
We've got the pastor saying Jesus jizz. Come on now.
I know, and she's saying it pretty comfortably now. I think
I
we're just
know.
like,
She just said,
we've
screw it.
I mean, y'all act like I'm like sitting in a corner and I never leave the house.
no.
We know you'd leave the house,
Yes.
but we're all just heathens who are gonna go to, whatever. I don't know where people tell me I'm gonna go, but since I don't believe in that, it doesn't matter to me what people think.
We'll do
Katrina's
we'll
gonna
do
come back and haunt my ass. She's gonna be like,
We'll do a separate episode on the theology of afterlife and what that looks like.
I'd actually
Well-
am very interested in discussing that with you.
Yeah, like Sarah, yes.
Oh, I have a question about the theology of these like polygamous relationships that I wonder
Yes.
if you have some insight in. The
Sure.
role of the woman in assisting on the find, right? Like they're the hunters for so many of these men. And I find that fascinating. It like happened with Robin. Mary kind of found Robin. It seems to happen like where they message with the wife first and then they bring him in. And in this case, like Becky and whatever his name is, the guy that I don't want to be in a room with ever.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
she was talking to the plant at the bar. She's like, I'll go look in the garage. Like she's the one that's like the second date with this woman. They gave her a necklace. Like the role of the woman in finding these other people, I am just like mystified by. And there must be some reason it's that way, like culturally, right?
So what's really interesting is that it seems to be happening in the more religious couples versus the non-religious couples. Because the non-religious couples, they often have like everybody goes on a date together, or like the woman goes on a date with the dude first and then comes and meets the sister wives. Whereas the more religious ones, it seems to be the woman that's bringing the sister wives in. And I think a lot of that is like, look, it's all hunky dory. This is good. It's not crazy. Like, come on in and we'll hang out.
Look how much autonomy I have.
Yeah. And
Right.
like also the idea of like, there's much more of a like camaraderie assumption for more religious based polygamous couples. So I think a lot of it is just like, okay, well, let me go find my new best friend. And then, oh yeah, they're going to like come be like the new wife to my husband. Thing.
Yeah. They do that in cults too. A lot of times the women are like lure people in.
So this is what happens when I research new religious movements. But there was a new religious movement called the Family, which was Children of God before. And they had something called flirty fishing, where they literally it's actually called that, where they actually taught the women to go flirt, to like convert people and then potentially have sex with them. To
Oh,
like convert dudes.
Hmm.
Because it was a heterosexual model mostly. So they would like go have sex with men in order to make them followers.
fascinating.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think I try to convert people when they have sex with me, but you know, they be acting like they don't know Jesus afterwards. So I don't know what they're converting to.
I hate to say it, but then do you get evaluated on your number of conversions? Like this one's no good at that. We got like move her into door-to-door knocking. But this one converts 2, 3, 4 times a
Yeah.
week.
She hit
Put
her
on the
monthly
circuit.
goals.
It's a
Look
good
at-
question. I don't
She's
know.
in the
but,
bonus
like,
structure now.
Yeah.
this
It's like
is like
an
a real
MLM.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't know how they like decided who was good at it. That's a great question. I don't know, but like this was a real thing, and it's like kind of it's not kind of disturbing. It's very disturbing because there was a lot of pressure on like you have to go have sex with these men in order to like save their souls, and like so they're like being, it's basically human trafficking. Like they're being
Right.
forced to have sex with people that they don't really consent to, like they can't consent to because it's being forced.
Because they're 12,
So
probably.
gross.
It's
So
terrible.
gross.
Gross. Okay.
Anyway, so point being, there's other groups that like have a history of having women, like religious groups of having women like have the burden of like going out and like recruiting people. That's where I was.
I
going
thought it
with
was a perfect segue to my next question to Sarah, which is on this show, we do fuck, marry, kill. So, you know,
Oh,
fuck, marry, kill, sister wives edition, seeking sister wives edition.
oh,
Which family would you
interesting.
do?
Okay. I got it. Definitely kill the guy I don't like. That's
The serial killer.
yeah, definitely kill him.
Okay.
I think I fuck Garrick because he wants to so bad. I think he'll try. I think he'll put some real effort in. I mean, he's gonna have to propose first, but it's clear that's his primary motivation for all things. I feel like he'll put the effort in. And I think I marry Nick because I would like to be a planet orbiting the sun. And that
What if
bed.
you were the far planet though, away that doesn't get the
As
sunlight
much
that
sun.
you need, but
What
not?
if you sleep on the outside of that 12-foot bed?
Yeah.
No, girl, I move into the boom boom room. I don't mess around.
It's always Sarah time in the boom boom room.
You know what? Actually, I agree with you on the fuck Garrick though, because he would like, he wants it,
He's
but
fucking for
also
Jesus.
he's got crazy eyes, and we know crazy people in bed are usually pretty good.
Is that a thing?
I'm sorry, Becca. Yeah.
No,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
asking, like,
No, I mean, well,
legitimately.
I'd marry Shane though, because the poor guy just wants love. He just wants love, and like that's his name, Shane, the one with the wife
With the
that I don't like.
lesbian, the bisexual girlfriend or wife, the doctor and axe thrower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sarah looks like she
No.
has some thoughts.
No, he's too insecure for me. And
Mhm.
also like he does not seem like he would be good in bed.
No, I agree.
Like,
His axe
agree.
throwing, the way he handles his axe doesn't do anything for you.
he doesn't bring energy that says I fuck. I can tell you that
No,
much.
he
Like
definitely does not.
he does not.
I
But
definitely kill
sometimes-
Nick
But sometimes
though.
it's those people who like really surprise you.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, don't hate on the nerds. That's all I'm saying.
No,
I'm
I'm
Oh,
nerds.
I know, because I'm married to a tech guy, so I'm like, he doesn't exude like sexual
Aw.
energy in the same way. But
My husband was once quoted in Time magazine and credited as a professional Star Warsian. Like they don't get.
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Sarah, you would be such good friends with a couple of my friends, a couple of my good friends. Like, oh my
This
gosh,
is why I
you
have
could.
Sarah in my life, right? Because Sarah's an amazing person and brings so much light to my life.
And I'm a
Aw.
D1 hater for sport. Division 1 hater. Love it.
Hater. Wow.
and you're funny. Can I put you on the spot and can I have you give us some funny?
No, the material I'm writing right now is very blue.
Okay.
And
How about some of your thoughts on the Seeking Sister Wives couples that we have not been able to address?
I don't even remember who's on the show at this point. I know we talked about it for like an hour. It's a bit of a blur. The Seeking Sister Wives family I miss that I wish would come back, but I know that they're problematic and horrible people. And am I getting them confused with another show that the guy in California,
The Snowdens.
The Snowdens.
Oh.
Terrible.
they're
Hashtag-
so
Hashtag Dimitri Snowden.
yes, they're so problematic and don't deserve to be on TV, but I really enjoyed
They
all
were
of their
so abusive.
storyline. They're so that story, it just was always like, ooh, what's happening with them? Yep, that's weird.
That's
Yeah.
Steve Mariones.
I legit like when they were like steaming their yonis. Like I was like,
Oh.
of course that's what they're doing. Like, of course.
Of course.
The pH has to be the same.
And that's
Yes.
not a thing. You know.
You think I can talk Chris into making a song called Steaming My Yoni? I
Of
don't know.
course
He
you
likes
can.
he doesn't like going backwards in time, but he did Debbie just for me. But yeah, we'll see. God, that would be a good one.
Yeah, steaming your
Awesome.
yoni. Well, you need Garrick and his Jesus Jizz and his Magic Garage. There's got to be something there that you can work with, because that just elicits all kind of like sparkles and rainbow and glitter.
I tried to talk him into a song called 10 Apps, but he's convinced that Garrick's going to have a better moment. He's convinced that Garrick's going to propose next week and it's going to be awful and just he'll go down in flames in some weird way. And he's saving that moment. So we'll
saving.
see.
I agree with him, actually.
Yeah, he's probably right.
Do we think Natalia said, we know he proposes because that's all he can talk about. Do we think she says yes?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Because of the show, for no
Yeah.
other reason. And she says yes, even if she doesn't mean it.
But
Yeah.
do you think they actually get to married and she
No.
moves to America?
No.
No.
But they get to
Yeah.
bone. They get to bone though.
100%.
That's all it's
Garrick.
about.
I didn't know. I didn't know that God's bright line on sex was proposal. I didn't know that until I watched this show.
I would like to be clear that that is not a biblical mandate.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, that
This
reminds me of the Mormons and their soaking.
Oh.
You know about this, right, Sarah?
Oh yeah. And then did you ever watch the reality show? I think it was called The Jury or something, where one person on the jury was
Jury
unaware that it
duty.
was happening.
Yeah,
Jury
Yes,
duty.
that was such a good
Amazon.
show. I liked
And then
it.
they did the soaking on that.
Wait,
And
wait.
someone was jumping on the bed. You don't remember this?
Yes, I do
Uh.
remember that. Yes. That was so awkward. Oh my god.
Okay. Katrina, since you asked, I'll give you the opening line of my new set. It's
Okay.
pretty blue though.
Okay.
But I think it's good life advice, which is why I'm sharing. It's also a PSA.
Okay. Well, this is how we're going to end the show then. These are parting words from Sarah.
I won't let anyone go down on me until I observe their approach to consuming a Jell-O shot. Because I need to know if I'm working with someone that operates with the clinical efficiency of the NASA team that landed the Mars rover or the one that authorized the Challenger launch.
Oh my God. That paints a wonderful mental image.
I love it. I love it. And where can people hear more of your stuff?
I finally accepted that I need to do social media. So I finally started an Instagram and all those things. You can find me at Sarah Spoon Comedy. My last name is like the eating utensil. So at Sarah with an H, Spoon Comedy.
Excellent. And we're going to have that all linked down below as well. And as usual, we have Pastor Becca and Lexi linked as well. Or no, I don't think I've been linking them because I've been lazy because it's hard to do this on the side of a full-time job and parenting. So anyway, thank you guys all. I think that's it, right? We covered everything. I'm not missing
We
anything,
did.
right? Okay. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and leave us a little hi. If you like Sarah, say hi, Sarah. If you don't like Sarah, that's fine too. You can go fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody.
If you don't like my comedy, I'm at Louis C.K. Comedy.
Stop it. Might have to edit that one out.
I will say though, Sarah, that like when I was watching the episode and like the Justin guy kept coming on the screen, all I wanted to say was like, there is evidence of disease. And you'll get
It's a
that,
really
Lexi, when
handy
you watch your
phrase.
set.
From your set, yes. There's evidence of disease.
It's a handy phrase.
It really is. I'm going to use it all the time now. So thank you for that.
And you guys, that comes from Sarah's 15-minute set that you have.
Thereabouts.
That's thereabouts. It's hilarious. It's available at Sarah Spoon Comedy and your YouTube and all the things. And thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. We'll be back next time. Bye.